a lot of emotions out of me. No, it brings a lot of frustration out of me because just to put things into context, this was built and envisioned almost 30 years ago, right? When Malaysia was actually poorer than Philippines today in terms of per capita income. No, imagine the scale of ambition, the scale of grandeur that the Malaysian leaders had to build something as beautiful as that. And look at the authenticity of its design. Look at how it represents the cultural heritage, the Islamic, the Indic, the truly Malaysian kind of design, and how this is something that has always put Malaysia on the map, no, on the global map because of its architectural beauty and sophistication. Now, this was not free of any controversy. Actually, isa sa mga oligarchs dito na malapit kay dating Prime Minister Mahathir ang gumawa noon at nagkaroon ng mga financial anomalies and eventually Petronas took over it. But nevertheless, despite everything, pinapakita ito na even though may corruption sa ibang bansa, even though may mga anomalya sa ibang bansa, even if may crony capitalism even sa ibang bansa, really no one beats the Philippines because tayo guys, yung ibang oligarchs natin, ang tagal-tagal na nila. Ang tagal-tagal na nila sa mundo. Hindi lang dekada, yung iba more than centuries. They have the resources, they have the billions of dollars, they have the world-class education, a lot of them. They have the exposure, they have the money, but they always lack the ambition to build something amazing like this, right? Something that truly captures the essence of what the Philippines is and the essence of what the Philippines wants to become in the 21st century. So this was the plan of Mahathir to put Malaysia on the map more than 2 decades ago. It came on board, and since then, isa siya sa pinaka-iconic buildings in the world. So imagine this is what Malaysia was doing when they were even poorer than us today in terms of per capita income, right? So hindi ito sa yaman lang. It's also in national vision, right? And at the same time, hindi lang ito issue ng corruption. Parati sa Pilipinas, obsessed tayo sa issue ng corruption. Alam mo dito, tawag sa ibang prime minister, Mr. 20%. Dahil may 20% cut parati. Dito, 1 MDB scandal lang nangyari. Kaya nakulong na, under house arrest na yung isang dating prime minister nila. Malaki na ang corruption sa ibang bansa. Hindi totoo na corruption ang problema sa Pilipinas alone. Corruption is a problem. But the bigger problem para sa akin is lack of ambition, lack of vision, lack of a proactive, patriotic leadership, and oligarchy. Yung oligarchy natin talaga, kumpara sa mga oligarchs dito, my goodness, wala silang mapapakita. Yung sa Vietnam nga, sabi ko nga, yung dating gumagawa ng noodles sa Ukraine, ay ngayon na gumagawa ng electric cars, yung VinFast, right? Itong mga tao na to, ilang dekada lang sila in the business. Look at what they're already building for their country and putting Vietnam on the international map. Look at what Malaysia was achieving 20, 30, 40 years ago when they were barely an upper middle income country. So dito talaga nakikita natin na may kulang talaga sa leadership sa Pilipinas. So kung anong galit natin sa corruption, kung anong galit natin sa mga voters natin, frustration natin, I think, as the Italian saying says, the fish rots from the head. If the leadership is weak, if they don't have a sense of ambition, if they're not gonna do their job, kawawang Pilipinas. So sa akin, dito talaga nakaka-frustrate. Whenever I'm here, it tells me what could have been done in the Philippines all those years. Now, parating narinig, ang Pilipinas, ito nangyari, Second World War, nasira ang Manila. But guys, these things were built like 30, 40 years ago. We had 70 years to get out of the ravages of Second World War. Vietnam, my goodness, hindi lang Second World War, man, silang Vietnam War. There were, in fact, 3 versions of Indochina wars. They fought against the French, the American, the Chinese, devastated ng Vietnam. And yet, look at how far Vietnam has come in the past 20 years. You go to Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon, you go to Hanoi, the level of development you see there. So dito talaga, guys, nakikita natin, ano talaga yung kulang sa ating bansa, yung sense of vision, sense of patriotism, at sense of ambition. Hindi ko na masabi na lahat naman Cynthia Villar-ish, but but in a way, in many ways, si Cynthia Villar reminds me essentially of the sociology of the oligarchy in the Philippines, no? Walang sense of world-class grandeur. They don't build world-class architecture. They don't build world-class brands, industries that create jobs for people and all of that. And I'll tell you what, yun din ang ugat ng ating problema sa ating politika because habang kulang tayo sa mga sarili natin na malalaking industriya, habang kulang tayo sa economic distribution, right? Tuloy-tuloy ang appeal ng populism. because people will look for a messiah. They're so frustrated. They don't see leadership. They don't see inclusive progress. They look for messiahs. They look for populists. At doon, unfortunately, they can fall sa mga budul kings like Digong. So we might see more and more budul kings. Digong era, this kind of types of politicians could be just the beginning of a new chapter. So yun ang parang gusto sinasabi. In fact, there was just a new survey by Pew Research Center sinend sa akin kagabi kung saan pinakita close to 7 out of 10 Filipinos ay galit na galit dun sa lack of proper economic distribution sa Pilipinas, sa unevenness of growth, sa lack of inclusiveness of development. So lahat yan guys nakikita natin na eventually our political crisis, our democratic deficit, yung mga ewan, mga kaek-ekan na nangyayari sa ating politika, may kinalaman nito sa foundations ng ating ekonomiya, foundations ng ating bansa, foundations na wala, na kulang, yung mga hindi natin nagawa, hindi natin na-build. So I really, really hope guys na hindi lang tayo lumalaban sa corruption, pero dapat lumaban din tayo dito sa culture of mediocrity and lack of ambition, and also this kind of a lack of industrial policy, trade policy that helps us, that could help us to really build our own industries, world-class industries, katulad ng Vietnam, katulad ng Singapore. Forget about Korea, Japan, mga yan, masyadong advanced na mga yan. But even some of this country around us, even like Turkey, whatnot, like Brazil, for instance, they also have their own international world-class industries, like Iber, for instance, for their aircraft. So yun po talagang kulang sa atin, and yun lang talagang kailangan natin ayusin guys. So I just said, isingit ko lang ito bago I'll be on the move again. Hindi ko nagawa at the same time kasi isang phone ko lang, may internet. So some of you may have watched parts of this on Facebook, but don't worry, this is still fresh. This is still his own version. So guys, tuloy-tuloy lang dapat itong pressure natin. We have to have a movement that goes beyond mediocrity, goes beyond just obsession with corruption, goes beyond just yung mga hackneyed na yung mga laos na gasgas na line. We have to push for industrial policy, more ambition, more grandeur, and pushing our oligarchs to build things like that put our country on the map and build factories and manufacturing that creates jobs for more and more Filipinos so that we can have inclusive development. On that note, maraming salamat guys. Tingnan natin kung makahabol pa tayo mamaya on the road. But for the meantime, yun po natin